Awesome. Welcome back to Health Science, Laws and Ethics. So these are your guided notes for the Laws and Ethics um, notes that look like, got them right here, this. It will be on Canvas. You can print them straight up from there at home if you don't have a physical copy of those, okay? It is a front and a back. Just get going here. So medical law is a branch of law which concerns the rights and responsibilities of medical professionals and the rights of the patient. The main branches of medical law are the law on confidentiality, negligence, and torts in relation to medical treatment or malpractice, and criminal law in the field of medical practice and treatment. So medical ethics is a field of applied ethics that applies to the field of medicine and healthcare. With concern about medical ethics goes back in the history of medicine with the work of Hippocrates. So even way back in the Hippocratic Oath, he talks about certain things, ethical dilemmas, okay? Now, scope of practice is used for healthcare professionals that defines the procedures, actions, and processes that are permitted for the licensed individual. A scope of practice is limited to that which the law allows for specific education and experience and specific demonstrated competency. So, for example, I have a brother-in-law who is a podiatrist, and if you don't know what podiatrist is, that is a foot doctor. And so he went to medical school and he did his internships and residency, and he did it with other podiatrists. He did have to do some other some other types of doctors and stuff, but his actual, his degree is in and what he is allowed to by law to do is work on the foot. So anything from below the knee down, okay? Anything above the knee, then he is in trouble, right? Because he hasn't by law completed the specific education, experience, and demonstrated competency to do that. So he couldn't do surgery on somebody's hands because he hasn't done the schooling for that. So your scope of practice is what you specifically can do. Battery is the actual physical harm or unwarranted touching of another person. If a medical procedure is done on a patient without getting permission, then it may be considered battery. Invasion of privacy is also a concern. So this is the right to be left alone and to not have your information become public. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, which we already talked about, remember HIPAA, addresses the security and privacy of health data. So invasion of privacy also includes maintaining a person's modesty during care. Hospital gowns, as you know, are open in the back and may unnecessarily expose a patient when they are walking or laying in bed. So care must be taken to make sure that the patient is covered appropriately. Negligence. Now, negligence is the failure to do something that a prudent person would ordinarily do or not do if you have been trained to do. So example would be given the wrong medication to the wrong patient because the nurse did not check on the patient's wristband. Hello. Hi, so I had a student come in to pick up some stuff. So let's see, negligence is failure to do something that a prudent person would ordinarily do or not do to something that you've been trained to do, okay? Example would be given the wrong medication to the wrong patient because the nurse did not check the patient's wristband. So that's negligence. Now, oh, there we go. Malpractice is professional negligence. Malpractice literally means bad practice, and it comes to mean professional care that has led to injury due to faulty practice or neglect. So neglect could be making that mistake of getting the wrong medication. Malpractice is if that making that mistake leads to injury or harm. So consent to treat is required from every conscious, conscious, mentally competent adult before care can begin. So there are 3 different types of consent. We have expressed, implied, and informed. And these vary in ways that expressed consent authorizes the healthcare provider to provide care or transport. The patient must be informed of the steps of the procedures and all related risks, benefits, and alternatives to treatment. Patient must be of legal age and able to make a rational decision to give consent. Implied consent is consent assumed from the unconscious patient requiring emergency intervention. So it's based on the assumption that the unconscious patient would consent to life-saving interactions. So would a reasonable person want you to save their life? You're assuming yes, okay? I think I said it before in the healthcare, one of my grandma-in-law had all over her house DNR, do not resuscitate, all over her house, so that if emergency people had to come into her house and they found her unconscious or not breathing or whatever, they were not supposed to resuscitate her or try to bring her back to life. She was ready to go. So if you were to bring somebody back like that who has DNR written all over their house, I wouldn't have not want to do that if I was bringing her back. She'd have whipped me. Okay, informed consent is telling the patient what medical procedure will be performed, then the expected outcome and the possible complications. So I did look up because I'm like, doesn't express consent and informed consent almost mean the same thing? So express consent is written or oral consent. The informed consent would be if you could say, do you understand? And they give a nod, okay? Or also informed consent would be showing up at an agreed upon time for surgery. I mean, you've already given them all the information that they need, right, to make the decision whether they want to be there, and them showing up, that is informed consent. Okay, that looks like that is it for that one. Woohoo! Quick and easy. Okay, as always, if you guys have any questions, anything, email me. Please jump on our Google Meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1:45 for Health Science, okay? Let's get this done. We only have, we probably have less than a week before our first test, okay? So we want to make sure you get all your notes together and your binders complete, and let's make sure you're all set for this. Okay, catch you on the flip side. Love you.